Easter Sunday has always been a special day for me. I shared last week on Palm Sunday, I always got a new dress, and I got one for Easter too. So I was a very blessed little girl, and I loved hiding eggs. And we didn't have plastic eggs when I was a little girl. So my parents hid real eggs, and then you washed them and ate them. It's a little different today. And the sun is shining, and it's glorious. It's absolutely glorious. I'm talking today about transition and transformation. It's been a theme for the last few weeks, and we will continue with this theme because it really is the spiritual journey. It's the walk. It's the talk. It's the way we move from here to there. Anyone interested in moving from here to there? Oh, good. We're not stuck in cement. We're ready to spread our wings, to grow in consciousness and awareness, and become even more grounded in our spiritual selves. Now, to me, nature is waking up. It's a rebirth. My little azaleas, I couldn't ask Paul to cut these. Yesterday, they were tight blooms. Look at them today. So warm day, little sun, little rain a few days ago, and here they are. And isn't that what often helps us? Not natural, I don't mean the rain and the warm days and the sun, although that is a gift, would you agree, in Oregon? We love that. And we also know that there is an outer and an inner presence. And as we transition into transformation, we experience a rebirth, a new beginning. And it doesn't matter how old we are. I'm just saying. Doesn't matter how young we are. A transformation, thank you. I love an agreeing crowd. Transformation is about having the insight into seeing the new journey and the willingness, not just to see it, to take the steps. Now, as I said, my whole outside of where we're living now, we moved there 3 years ago, and the man who flipped the house loved plants. We have the most beautiful landscaping, and we didn't have to do anything. Now, is that an answered prayer? I would have to say. It's absolutely beautiful. He told us he put in over 40 plants, and they're all just starting to wake up. They're all just saying, I'm here, look at me now. So I walk around and I thank them. I just walk through the yard and say, thank you very much, because I didn't have to do any work to bring you to your beauty. That's such a gift. As we think about our lives as nature, we too are coming alive. We too are finding a new sense of purpose. And as I said, it has nothing to do with age or where we live on the planet. It has to do with a willingness to be in process, a willingness to be in transition, in finding a path that leads us to even more grace. And I'm always asking, are you willing? I always ask myself that question too. Every morning I wake up and say, am I willing? Am I willing to be on the spiritual path? Am I willing to walk a new journey? Am I willing to be more connected with people and not just walking by in the grocery store, at the when we go to Costco and get gas? Wherever you go, are you connecting or are you still in your head? I won't ask for a raise of hands about that. When I am awake, I am connected. And I am more than my personal self. I am a spiritual being making that connection. So today we're talking about the Easter story. And the Easter story has many different parts. In Unity, we look at it metaphysically, not literally. So if you've not ever been to Unity for Easter, you may be surprised. And those of you that have been here forever. Just kidding. We'll be reminded of this story. So we've gone through the process of Jesus moving through the stages of going through, carrying the cross. Once again, we see this metaphysically, not literally. This story actually is an ancient story. It is not just a Christian story. You find a similar story in many spiritual teachings. Different because of the location, the place in the world, but a similar story. So as we come to this, we realize that there is a point where there's an ending. There's a closing down. And Jesus goes through that and ends up in a tomb, as the story goes. And the tomb, or the cave, as they call it in some translations, is supposedly the end. And the door, the stone, has been put up, rolled. There's many different ways it's described. And there are guards in front of that enclosure. Now, as I've heard many Unity ministers talk about this, I wanted to share with you symbolically what those 3 days in the tomb mean. So the first day is for us, if we feel enclosed, if we feel blocked, if we feel fearful. Anyone ever felt those feelings? If we feel that way, that is like being closed in or closed up, and we're fearful. We might be thinking we were right. I know that isn't a similar thought in here. We might be angry. We might be going through grief. We might be having a variety of feelings, but everything in the world feels blocked. We can't feel the love coming to us, and we are not sending it out. Anyone ever been there? I have. Probably you have. In that moment, you thought, this is the end. I can't go any farther. I'm blocked. I'm afraid. I'm angry. I'm hurt. And so we sit in that. And sometimes, where's God? Where's God? Where's the Spirit? I'm afraid. So then, as the story goes, there's a second day in the tomb. And for me, I often find that as I sit with whatever is going on that's making me feel this way, including I'm right, I began to process. I began to think through this. Is this hurt worth holding on to this? Am I willing to not be afraid? Am I willing to not believe I'm lacking? See this fist? Am I willing to open? Breathe. Am I willing to reflect? How did I get here? Is there another way to look at this? Could I change? Is there any possibility that my perception might not be the right one? Mm-hmm. Just a wee chance. That's day 2. Reflection, starting to release. This pain is not worth being blocked. This pain is not worth feeling connected to my spiritual self, to God, to my wholeness, to my happiness. In the third day, do you remember what happened in the story? The stone and the stone rolled away, tumbled down the hill. The stone rolled away. This has always been my favorite part of the story. The stone rolled away. Now, there was no machinery. There was no one moving it, and the guards are gone. The guards are gone. I've always thought the guards are my ego. My ego standing in front saying, it's my way or the highway. I'm the one here. Finally, the third day, I'm understanding that this is bigger than me. I'm a spiritual being. I don't have to be angry. I don't have to be afraid. I don't have to take responsibility for the world. The divine in me is more than any situation. The divine in me is more than any upset. The divine in me is more than my being right. The divine in me leads me to a new understanding. Yes, maybe, could be, possibility. So in this reflection, we realize that this is what happens in nature all the time. Nature appears to have died. Nature, my azalea was not looking so good. It looked diminished. It looked like it might not make it. And then there was a rebirth. We call it in the Bible resurrection. We call it new life. We see it as a new beginning. And the question today is, am I willing? Am I willing to have a new beginning? I'll say it again. Am I, we, you, thee, all of us, willing to have a new beginning? Yes. Because if we're not, might as well just shut the door. Might as well just shut the door. Throw away the key. So we have to be willing to start wherever we are and take one step. Are you willing to take one step? Now, the very last part of that story in the Bible, the angel appears. And the angel represents the light, the love, the I am in you and me. I am. I am love. I am light. That's who I came to be. I didn't come to be telling everyone what to do. I didn't come to downgrade anyone else so I could upgrade myself. Mm-hmm. I heard a mm-hmm. 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 So as I was working on this talk last night, I just make notes, and I just scratch things out. And I was thinking about a time in my life when I really felt blocked. And this is when my husband was dying of brain cancer. And I was angry. And I was upset. And I was hurt. And I was everything. And more. And I closed down. And I lost my faith. Now that's awkward if you're a minister. And you're speaking to a couple hundred people every Sunday. It's awkward. And how do I move through that? And I felt like a fake. Yeah. No, I'm not. And in that moment, I was angry. I was hurt. And I questioned, why have I spent my life doing this? And I was sure everyone could tell. And they call that a spiritual crisis, a spiritual emergency, whatever you call it. For me, it didn't have a name. It had a deep feeling. I felt abandoned, hopeless. And I just kept praying about it. And I just kept sitting with it. And I knew I was more than that. I did some counseling. I did some grief work. I wrote journal after journal. And at one point, my faith deepened. It didn't come back the same way, it deepened. And I began to help others who were going through similar things. That was a rebirth for me. That was being reborn. That was coming to a bigger understanding of who I really am. Now, all of you, this is your story. It's our story, isn't it? It's our story. Because each one of us have been through cycle after cycle in our lives. Would you agree? Where you came to a place where I can't go forward. I'm done. This is bleak, whatever. I'm angry. I'm hurt. I'm all of these feelings. And then the dawn comes. Something happens. Someone reaches out to us. We find a unity pamphlet. We have a walking partner that says, let me pray with you. Something happens in our life, and we are changed. We are changed at depth. Now, I have one of my favorite stories I'm going to share today. And it's called The Abbot and the Rabbi. Now, most of you know the abbot would be the leader of a Catholic church or a seminary. This particular abbot was the director of a monastery. And his best friend was a rabbi who was in charge of the synagogue in the town closest to the monastery. And they would kibitz, and they would share stories, and they always sat together, maybe for tea. Sometimes they walked in the woods and just sat in a clearing. So one day, the abbot shows up, and the rabbi's there, and he's crying. And he's crying and crying and crying and can't stop crying. And the rabbi said, "What is wrong? What is wrong?" Now, this is a time in Europe where it's a very difficult time. There's very little food. People are without work, and it's very stressful. So the rabbi says, "What is wrong? What is wrong?" He said, "I can hardly speak. My faith is gone." Rabbi said, "Really?" He said, "Yes." He said, "The monks are leaving the monastery. They no longer believe." He said, "Really?" He said, "Their prayers are heartless, and they're rude and mean to each other. Nobody is kind. The monastery's going to fail." And the rabbi says, "Really?" And he said, "You know, the only thing I can say is what we pass on in the Jewish tradition. The Messiah is among you." Anyone have $10? I paid for it. No. Right on cue. I'm so proud of you. The Messiah is among you. Well, the abbot was shocked. Why didn't he know this? The Messiah actually in his monastery? Who could it be? He could not figure this out. And all in his mind, he keeps going over and over. Who could it be with this? So he went back to the monastery and he started looking at everybody differently. Oh my God, who could it be? Who could it be? Who could it be? So he started being a little softer with his tone, because you never know. And then he started every once in a while, when he would pass a monk in the hallway, he'd just put his hand on their shoulder. Just a little tap there. And then when he was leading prayers, he just used the tone of voice, just a little warmer, just a little more connecting. And he still was questioning, who is the Messiah? And all of a sudden he noticed that no one was arguing at dinner about salt and pepper. Nobody was getting in each other's way when they were walking down the hallway. No one was, questioning each other. And all of a sudden he noticed at prayer time how authentic those prayers were. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And, it's well said. And he noticed then that there was a change in the energy in the monastery. And do you know what? All of a sudden, new people came to join the monastery. And all of a sudden, they became known in the land. And all of a sudden, they had more money. And they could expand the monastery. And it could grow. So you know the end of the story. The Messiah is among you. The Messiah is among us. And are we willing to soften our tone with everyone? Are we willing to be the caterpillar that turns into the butterfly? Are we willing, that caterpillar, it seems impossible to me. Doesn't it? That you could be this little crawly thing and then you could be this in the air. Impossible possibility. So as we go into prayer today, everyone's getting a butterfly. Would you pass that out, please? Everyone's getting a butterfly. And I would like you to remember that you're a butterfly. You are a new being. You are the Messiah. You are the joy in this room. You are the joy on the planet. Now, it's whether I still believe I'm blocked and I'm in a place where I can't move, I can't think, or I have wings. What am I willing to be? What am I willing to be? What does this butterfly represent to you? What kind of freedom? What kind of joy? Being lifted up above the ordinary and taking on responsibility of being a spiritual being in a human body. Just take one, please. She wanted that special one. And when you have your butterfly, just feel its wings. It has a little movement to it. And then close your eyes. Start thinking butterfly thoughts, rising above anything that feels limiting, negative, impossible. Close your eyes, please. Close your eyes. You're going to get one. Here they come. We'll share later. Please hold it in your hand. Put it where your heart is, wherever. Yeah. Let's breathe together. We're breathing in and out the possibilities. The possibilities of Unity of Salem. The possibilities of your life. The possibilities of our world. We let go of any fear, any anger, any thinking I'm right. And we affirm each in our hearts, I am alive. I am awake. I am awake to my possibilities. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. I am more. I am more than my human self. And there might be someone who comes to your mind today that needs a little forgiveness, a little love, a little pat on the shoulder. So hold them in your heart today. Maybe someone you have had a distance with, or someone very close to you. They're with you now. We give thanks in the name and through the power of Spirit, divine love. The Messiah is among us. And so it is. Amen. Amen.